Hello and welcome back to the Have We Made It Yet podcast. It's the podcast where two guys who are trying to make it in the entertainment industry are sharing their experiences and going from right from the beginning. My name is comedian. Okay, so my first name's not comedian, but I am comedian Josh Yang.
And I am actor Lucas Ng.
And today we have a great guest who's, I think I've shared the stage with a little bit.
Oh, cool.
I believe with. But before we get there, you know what, Lucas, I think it is important to ask you though, have you made it yet?
We always ask this, and I always try to think of something witty to say. Whoa, was that your cough?
No, I don't have a cough. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. But no, I have not made it yet. But it's been an interesting 2 days, Josh. Not gonna lie. The show that I was on back in October, called Age of Samurai, finally came out on Smithsonian Channel.
Yes.
Yeah, I have some cool behind the scenes pictures and everything that I posted up on my Instagram if anyone's interested. But it will drop on Netflix later this year. And furthermore, the film school program that I'm in, recently did an award show, and
Nice.
My script that I wrote for a short film got nominated, and also I won a honorable mention award. I didn't actually win the real thing, but at least, yes, it gives me some
Sick.
incentive.
Wait, how many honorable mentions were there?
One.
Oh, so guess who was on runner up?
Yeah, this guy.
That guy. Yeah.
But so it's been interesting 2 days, and it just really provides me some fuel to go on.
Nice.
Mr. Josh Yang,
Yes.
have you made it yet?
I have not made it yet,
Oh, damn.
but I feel like my Sleep with Josh podcast has hit another level because my daily view counts for the last week or so before was about the mid-teens daily downloads. But then last 3-4 days, boom, 33, 26, 20, today 36. So I feel like I might have gone to another level of consistent daily downloads. So I'm excited about that. And I released an episode, most recent episode, this will come out a little later. Most recent episode, I read the complete book of cheese. It's starting a new line of categories within the Sleep with Josh podcast focused on cooking. So old cookbooks and books on food. So it's a pretty interesting book.
I didn't realize you had so many Green Bay Packers fans.
There's a lot of people who like cheese. I mean, Wisconsin cheese. And I realized afterwards that I was pronouncing some of the French names wrong. I kept saying Roquefort, but it's Roquefort.
There's no hard T.
No, there's no hard T because it's French, I guess. And then I kept pronouncing Edam, where it's supposed to be Edam. But Edam sounds better.
It does.
Yeah, but I guess it's Edam. You got to eat them, the Edam cheese.
I'm sure to all the listeners that were trying to go to sleep, it must have been so jarring for them to hear the improper pronunciation of cheeses that I just woke them up.
I know. I got destroyed by a lot of the other French names. I lost it. I cracked up during some of it. But yeah, so you can watch that. But enough about us, I think. Today's guest is someone that I've met while doing comedy shows. The first time I think I saw him was when he was performing last fall or around summer for the Rice comedy shows that were going on at the Rivoli, downtown Toronto. And he was kind of the in-between act kind of performer. So he was singing acoustic covers, original songs, and that kind of stuff. And the thing that kind of stood out to me was that he did a acoustic version of Ludacris's what is it? What's it called? I looked it up. It's move, bitch, get out of the way. So
Dope.
so he did an acoustic version of that, and me and my friends in the front were like laughing every time he just kept saying, "Boo, bitch, get out of the way, get out of the way, bitch, get out of the way." But in acoustic cover, so it was pretty good. And then later on, I remember he was also performing during the reception area at the CBC Glenn Gould studio when we were doing our rice and fresh rice showcases there. So this next guest, long-winded story, but this next guest, as you can see, the name is on there. He is a local Toronto singer-songwriter, and he's working on some new music that should be put out on his SoundCloud, I think, as well as through other venues at the end of the year. Please welcome Danny Nguyen.
Woo!
There
Danny.
you
Hey
go.
guys.
Do you remember that show? Because
Yes,
like me and my friends were definitely laughing at the very front.
yes, I do remember it. So, I mean, I've seen you around, Josh, and I guess that does make the connection. I'm like, okay, okay, it's you guys.
Yeah, that
I
was
had fun
us.
doing that.
Yeah, it was good. It's a pretty like I always like things that are juxtaposed and out of
Yeah.
like the original is out of the kind of new way version of the context. But it's like well, I mean, usually we ask the other question, but for this one, I'll just ask it quickly. But like, what, where did you get the idea to just do a cover of Ludacris?
So I was very inspired by this other amazing, just like a musician on YouTube I found a couple years ago. His name is Dan Hennig,
Mm.
and he was super good at just taking these random songs and just putting them into an acoustic setting that you would never expect them to be in. And so some examples, it's like what was it? Lil Jon's oh ski ski,
Yeah. Yes.
The
Yeah.
window to
That
the
was
from the window
wall.
to
also.
the wall, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to do a cover of that, and then
Yeah, I remember that as well.
there was like another uh, other couple of songs, yeah. So like ever since then, like so I covered his versions of it. I did put a little bit more twist of my own
Yeah.
into it to make it
Mhm.
even like more punk rock. So yeah, that's where I draw my inspiration from.
Nice, nice. It
Dope.
was definitely. It's like at first I was like, wait a second. It sounds much more acoustic, much more melodic. But then once you realize and you listen to the lyrics, like, oh, that's what the lyrics are. Right, right. But yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. And off the top, of course, want to ask you, Danny, have you made it yet?
I'm still a ways from where I want to be, so not yet, not yet.
Not yet.
Um, I'll make it when it's my full-time job, and it's nowhere close to that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. How long have you been doing it for?
So there've been periods I've been doing it for a while. I've written okay. I wrote my first song when I was around 14, and
Okay.
I started. That was a while back. I'm 27 now. I know I look a lot younger than I do here, but
Yeah.
14, first guitar, wrote my first song to played it at school talent shows. Grade 9, grade 10
Nice.
school talent shows. It was fun. Uh, I wanted to do that out right as I finished school, but instead grade 12, Asian parents, Asian parent things.
Yeah.
They're like, you should probably go to school for science or something. And I'm like, okay, I'll go to school for science or something. First year, second year, I was really heavy into music. I went to Toronto, different bars in Toronto. There's this like promotion company called Supernova. They don't exist anymore, but back then they would help you get gigs, but the catch was that you basically performed for free. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the exposure, whatever. It was great to get those connections. I actually met a lot of cool guys through that network. But after second year, my grades weren't looking good at all. My parents were like, we know you love music, but we also just really want you to finish school and focus on that for a bit. So I
Hmm.
did. I stopped performing regularly. I would do like the occasional talent show probably once or twice a year here and there at either school or like a friend tells me, hey, I want to come play for a show. I'm like, cool. Fast forward 5 years of not playing. So I graduated,
Oh.
3 years of just me focusing well, yeah, 3 years of focusing on sewing school. I graduated, 2 years of just working.
Mm.
Then when you saw me, Josh, that was actually just 1 year of me trying to get back into it. And
Oh, okay.
it was different. Different settings. I'm sort of like, my parents let me do whatever I want now, but at the same time, it's just like, wow, I've been so out of practice. The game's a
Mm.
little different. You get a little bit more self-conscious as you age too. I kept overthinking
Right.
everything, yeah, instead of just going out there and playing. So yeah, so it's been a really long, weird journey, but I've been super active for the past, I would say, 2 years now,
Nice.
trying
Right.
to get back out. Yeah, in there.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's encouraging to see because I remember I think during one of the shows the producer of Monk show who we've mentioned a lot on this and this show was like saying how I think during one of the shows I forgot which one it was saying that like you made the step to pursue it full time kind of semi recently, but I mean, was there anything that kind of you were hesitant on when you made that decision once you got back into it to be like, okay, now I'm kind of 1 year into it again. I'm getting my footing a little bit now. This is something that this is what I'm going to do.
So I have to be honest. I wanted to go full time into this. I haven't. I had to hold back. Um, it was, once again, really weird stuff. But I work for a bank right now, and
Yeah.
in November I actually did hand in my resignation letter. I was gonna
Oh.
go like 100% into this.
Yeah.
At but then I gave them 5 weeks just because I'm in a critical role. I wanted them to like find someone, like 5 good weeks. At
Yeah.
the end of 5 weeks, it was at the end of the fiscal year. There were certain things changing, certain
Mm,
things happening at work, and they asked me really nicely to reconsider
yeah.
because
Mhm.
they were like, "We value you here," and I like them too. And it was more just like, "Why don't you stay a little bit longer and reassess the situation?" So I'm like, "Okay, you know what? I guess I can do that. What can you guys do for me?"
Yeah.
It was really cool. They're really flexible. Thursdays and Fridays are my busiest gig days.
Hmm.
Mm.
So they actually readjusted my hours. I'm salary based anyways, but they readjusted my hours in a way where
Wow.
by Thursday after lunch I can leave the office. Same with Friday. So I'm like,
Nice.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm really cool with that. It's like, so
Uh-huh.
Mondays and Tuesdays I would work
Mm.
really long days, but it was always worth it because at the end of the week I saw that light. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
I can still do what I love, and I don't have to worry about where my next paycheck is coming from. So that extended onto where we are right now.
Yo, what a great decision.
Dude,
Right?
Danny, you made it, man.
Yeah.
You found a
just
place.
just for that, yeah, you definitely made it at like managing to go into COVID and everything, at least with a job. Holy.
I
Uh-huh.
I will say that was just the weirdest luck ever. I could have never seen this coming, and
Yeah.
they were like telling me like, why don't you think about it? Maybe around February you can see if you still want to stay with the company or not.
Whoa.
Well, yeah, February comes around, and I'm just like, guys, I'm staying.
uh, everything's getting shut down. There's no more bars or live
Yeah.
entertainment. I think I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay for just see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Wow,
man, shout
that's
out to that bank, man. Good on you, man, for having that foresight to still stay with the company, even though you were set on leaving.
It was at a point where I looked at it, it was a win-win situation. You know what I
yeah,
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm an opportunist, and this is a great opportunity. I'm gonna take it.
yeah. I think a lot of it really is really tough if you're like because if you go through the mindset of being an artist, you got to put 100% in it, which you do. But then at the same time, you don't have to always go the starving artist role
Mhm.
road just because it's like kind of what is personified within the identity of it. But like sometimes all you just need, I mean, especially with the changing factors with how people work
Yeah,
these days, it's a lot more flexible. And if you're trying to pursue art, it's usually performance wise, it's usually like later at night, you kind of manage it a little bit
pretty
better.
much. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I feel like the environment is definitely a little bit better now.
Yeah. With with how bars right now are all closed and venues are shuttered right now. Are you doing any like live streams right now for your new music, or how are you still engaging with your fans?
I try my best to take open mics that I can take. And see, the dynamic is a little weird in the sense too, where working from home is nice and everything, but sometimes you it's not that it's harder to set the boundaries, but there's
Mm.
sometimes, yeah, like when work's at home, it's harder to get away from it
Yeah.
because yeah, like, and we there are always busy times and not busy times. As working for a bank, COVID, I will tell you, has been a very busy time for us, and
Yeah.
we are trying our best to make sure that we accommodate all our customers, and that sometimes includes me not being able to perform all the time because I'm
Mhm.
working quite a lot later on some days. But when I can, Tuesday nights there's a open mic on Facebook I like to
Oh, cool.
join and stream, and other than that, it's just here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
trying my best, but like I said, it's different where I also feel I have to admit I feel less accountable to do as much music just because I'm
Mhm.
not out performing as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I find myself sort of like making up like some sort of mental excuse. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's not live anyways. It's okay.
Yeah, I agree. Like also for me in writing new material, it's tough because there aren't as many opportunities to do it. But nowadays it seems like there are small things popping up. There's like
Yeah.
a comedy show Friday nights at one of the parks somewhere that I've heard is starting to be a little bit more set. It's like everything's socially distanced. People are pretty far away, and there's
Right.
one person with like a microphone and a speaker. And I think with Toronto and Ontario entering phase 3 and allowing bigger groups, that won't be as big of a problem moving forward. But there is actually one open mic, kind of not really an open mic, but it is an open mic. So there's this mic in Kensington Market. I
Okay.
don't know if you heard of. It's literally right in front of this Donair shop. I
Okay.
forgot what street it is, but it's pretty central. It's kind of like it's at a cross where like some of the main streets in Kensington are. And I walked around there a couple weekends ago, and there were just live musicians playing on that mic. And I went up, asked them, it's like, oh hey, I do comedy, so like, what's the deal with this mic? And they were like, oh yeah, we just have this mic out, kind of 4 p.m. every day or on the weekends,
Mhm.
and it's like just a bunch of random musicians. If they go in and perform a couple sets of music, and it seems very open. It's like you come in, come go,
Oh,
in and out. So I maybe want to check that out in Kensington Market on the weekends, just in
yeah.
case.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
That
it's like a
sounds super
open
cool, actually.
it is. It was an open setup, so like people walking on the streets were just able to like sit and listen, and then there's like some patio bars on the other side of the street. So when I was there having a beer and stuff, like there was just live music kind of outside. So that was also a cool vibe.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, give that a
Um.
look. Give that a look.
Yeah. Danny, when I was listening to some of your stuff, like Meant to Be and Farewell, like I gather that
Yeah.
I might be wrong too, but I gather some of your influences could possibly be um like almost like a Tom DeLonge kind of feel to it, mixed in with some kind of
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran, but also mixed in with the sadness of like Jeff Buckley.
Yeah.
Can you go
Pretty
into
much.
a bit more about your influences and
That's
what?
pretty awesome. Yeah, really good observations, man.
Oh,
So that's the kind of so I come from the emo punk era, My Chemical Romance,
yo, the
30
Used.
Seconds to Mars. Yeah, so I grew up
Yeah.
listening to music. Like at first it was like a little bit of Green Day, but then once these other guys started coming up and emo punk, Panic at the Disco, yeah, Blink 182, Marinus Trench, all those, like kind of stuff. So what I loved about that was just how raw and honest the lyrics are and
Yeah.
the emotion is behind each and every song. So I never felt the need to like censor or like hold back any of my emotions, my music.
Mhm.
But I guess the more I grew up too, I fell in love with like other types of like artists such as Jeff Buck Jeff Buckley. I listened to a bit of his stuff and more so I guess John Mayer when it comes to
Oh yeah,
his
yeah.
style of lyricism. And who else is there? I guess yeah, Sam Smith, Ed Sheeran, Neo. Actually, I really liked. So
Interesting.
like a lot of, I guess, sort of more R and B soul in terms of I guess the the feeling of things, you know.
Hmm.
And every every one of my songs, people tell me are very sad, but that's because I'm one of the writers where I can't write happy music.
Yeah,
I just gotta
sure.
Really?
write when I feel the most vulnerable, and that's when I'm really in an
Yeah.
emotionally down state.
Uh-huh.
So I guess it's fair to say that in terms of like where you grab the most inspiration, it's like you're just, is it kind of like something emotional happened or a thought comes across and you're like,
Yeah.
this seems like something I want to talk about. So you write out the lyrics and start putting tune to it.
Oh yeah. Pretty much what my songs mostly are about. I growing up, I've always struggled with trying to figure out who I really am or who I really want to be in terms
Mm,
of like an artist,
Mm,
because I know I'm an artist deep inside, but there are all these like social expectations of you to be some sort of breadwinner or just be really independent and really strong in terms of like, especially in an Asian culture, like where
mhm.
yeah.
as a young Asian man, there's a lot of certain types of expectations, and artists usually isn't along the lines of there. My parents have always been really supportive ones, but my dad is the youngest out of 10 siblings, so I had a lot of it. It's the external family, the extended family
Yeah.
that can be a little critical and a little. It, there's a lot of expectations, but I guess the older I got, the more I could prove myself as, I guess, an artist, and also like just manage my, I guess, my career, my full time career.
Mhm.
Mm,
It it's been really paying off. So I write a lot about identity issues, in terms of that, like where I feel like I'm lying, like I'm living as a different person to please that. Like I have other songs that I will put out there, but there's
Yeah.
a song called Hollow that really just talks about wanting to be saved from pretending to be someone else.
Mm.
And
mm.
I also write a lot about heartbreak because you know, uh, we do that. I've always been a hopeless romantic, and like now I'm just like not attracted to anyone or anything, so I'm writing about that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey, you got to use whatever you can.
Oh yeah,
Anything is like, that's the thing about like I think like acting or anything of these
oh yeah,
subjective manners, creating these type of things. It's like you can use all of your experiences. You don't have to
exactly.
be limited to like talking about what everybody else is kind of talking about right now. I feel like
Mhm.
in those situations where you feel like you can talk about the things that no one else is talking about, but you specifically want to talk about, that's where you
Yeah,
kind of can stand out a bit, right? And
oh yeah,
I mean, to your credit, I've never heard songs, romantic songs about not being romantically interested in anybody. That could be a very
yeah, yeah,
interesting thing to look into. But
definitely. I mean,
yeah,
like, "Meant to Be" sounds like a breakup song or a love song, so it's
Mhm.
somewhat is, but "Meant to Be" is actually a song about me having to choose between keeping my relationship with someone or pursuing my relationship with music because there's not enough time to
Oh.
do either. So I wrote it in a way where it sounds like I'm talking about two romantic partners, but really
mm,
Mhm.
about the fact that it's not your fault. I just really wanna do music, and I still
yeah.
care about you, but it seems like this ain't gonna work, so I'm gonna make a choice. And you can
Yeah.
assume that song exists because I
Made
decided to,
that choice. Yeah.
yeah, make that choice.
I remember watching some of your most recent YouTube videos, and
Yeah,
like you legitimately said, "This is another sad song," and I think that was your intro to Farewell when you were saying that. Do you? And this is more going into like how you want to present yourself too. Do you find like you want to balance the sadness with a with a happiness kind of intro so that you can at least straddle through those two extremes of emotions?
yeah. Uh, really, really good question. So I'm naturally just really awkward, and I can be I can talk a little too much sometimes. So I just embrace that when it comes to the stage before I
Mhm.
go to my songs. I like to just yeah, just put some humor out there. Clear. What do you say? Just like just keep talking until I feel like I should start singing, and it usually is like a really fun and funny way to just get into it, but also to sort of catch people off guard. I like to do that, like to surprise people a little bit with my music. And then at
Yeah.
first they think it's all like this, oh, hey, look at him. He's so happy and all chilled. And I sing the song. They're like, wow, that's a 180 degrees, man.
Yeah.
So I like to do that. Yeah, I like to balance it just so I want people to remember that I am happy, like as a
Mm,
performer. But this is just a snippet of my life at that moment where I really had to let these emotions out, or else I
Hmm.
wouldn't be as happy as I am right now.
Would you say that that's like one of the main things as to what is attracted you to pursuing this kind of music career, to making that kind of tough decision between
Yeah.
a person you love and the love of the music? Like, what is it about performing that makes you, you know, want to do it, and you know that when you're up there, it's like you don't want to do anything else?
I totally understand, and I'm pretty sure as artists yourself, you probably feel this way. Don't you just feel like you're the most honest version of yourself when you're performing?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
mhm.
I 100%. If anything, those are like almost word for word for what I've said before. Was like when I'm up there, I just feel like this is it just feels right. It's like
yeah,
this is the moment where I can be the purest version of what I like would want to be.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like so, yeah, like at that moment when I'm performing, that's all that matters. Everything else in my head's just whatever. Like at this moment, it is now, and I am enjoying now. And it's yes, so it's that feeling of just being myself and just being honest on stage that inspires me to get out there whenever I can.
Hmm.
Awesome. Your song "Rain," um, you had your another person that was featured on it. I think her first name was Paige or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember? When you do go into your writing mode, do you usually write for like a two-person part, or is it just more mainly focused on you? That when you write parts for your music.
I I usually just write parts for myself. So as a singer-songwriter, all I've been used to is like using my guitar as like the accompaniment and my
Mhm.
lyrics and vocals as the main driver. Mostly my lyrics in general. I guess I like to pride myself as a songwriter more than anything else.
Mhm.
But recently, I have been trying to diversify, write different types of music, and write for other people. And
Awesome.
funny you brought that up because Paige and I became friends at an open mic, and later on, after hearing her voice, it's phenomenal. I
Mhm.
was able to write a song called Bloodied Scars that I had her in mind performing, and
Oh,
she's the one that kills it. I like to perform my own song from time to time, but
yeah.
it's not the same as like when she does it.
Mhm.
So definitely now I'm getting more and more used to writing with other people, writing for other people, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a completely different skill set that I think many people
Oh yeah.
don't, or at least are unaware of improving, just
Right.
because you can't do everything all at once. So if anything, if you can get a collaborative spirit, it's a really
Yeah.
beneficial skill set to have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think it must activate different, parts of your own creativity, when it comes down to it.
It does. The
Yeah.
more I collaborate, the more I realize that I can write about other stuff and I can write other types of music. So it's I would recommend that for every artist out there. Like I know as an art you feel like, oh, my work is so sacred sometimes, or like, or just you just don't. It feels weird because it's such
Mhm.
a vulnerable part of you that it
Yeah.
gets hard to share it and it gets hard to work with it. Like, and then sometimes other artists feel that way too. But once you understand that, well, there's two ways to look at it. Sometimes you just go in not expecting a thing and to just have fun and
Mhm.
to just do whatever comes to you, or you find that right person you want to work with that you are okay sharing your vulnerable self with, and they're okay sharing their vulnerable self with too, to make something beautiful too together. So there's two ways to go about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Just going back into like some of your first shows after your hiatus and performing,
Yeah.
what were some of like the two major mental barriers you have to go get through before you were comfortable being on stage?
Um, I guess the biggest one was just getting comfortable being up there again, just
Mhm.
not thinking too much. And it's like when you've been out of practice for something so long, you feel rusty, but you soon realize that it's all in your own head. Like
Mhm.
other people don't know how good you are. you know what I mean? Like in your head, you have like this image of being like perfect, but you don't have to be. You just have to go up there and enjoy yourself. So that's the biggest thing. Trying to
Mhm.
get rid of that self-imposed vision of like that illusion of perfection that I need to
Mm,
achieve. Obviously, it's good to hold yourself to a standard, but don't do it in a way that that is detrimental to you. Like I just had to get myself up there performing and sharing again. So that's one
yeah.
thing, just to get past that. The other thing too is uh to realize that I guess the other barrier was um when I first performed, I haven't written any new songs, so I was just like performing stuff
Mm,
ages ago, like 5 or 6, maybe 10 years ago, actually, for some of my songs. And I had to start getting comfortable with being vulnerable about myself again.
mm,
And um, that's where I started writing again. But at first, all I could do was just perform my old stuff because as now I'm just like, oh my gosh, back then as a teenager, I wasn't afraid to share that stuff. But now, like I said, the older you get, the more you just overthink everything. And I was just like, or like not overthink, but you just get so self conscious, and it's tough. Yeah,
I totally know what you mean, then. Like, I'm 32 now, and I'm like going back into film school, pursuing acting and everything like that. And
yeah,
I'm like, man, my friends are having babies or owning houses, and you really get into your head. It's like,
it does.
am,
Yeah.
am I a failure? Like,
Mm.
this is getting too deep for myself. I don't know if you feel that same way sometimes, Josh, but at least that's something that I'm going through.
Oh, absolutely. I think like with any of this, pursuing these type of passion projects, it makes you feel like the later you start, the worse off you are. Like you see other like young
Yeah,
comedians, young actors, young musicians like
Mhm.
hitting it big at like
half your
six,
age.
yeah, half your age, like early 20s, getting these big shows and stuff like that, and like they're the
Uh-huh.
hottest things or whatever. But it's the more I'm doing, the more I think about it, though. Especially for me, it's like sometimes you would sometimes you kind of realize if you were younger and you were trying to pursue it, you wouldn't have gotten very far because you weren't really that good
Yeah.
when you're young. Like I don't think I would have been able to. I think I would have might have been okay, like, but I wouldn't have the same perspective
Mm,
or like nuance in thinking that I can approach my material with, and that only comes with doing other things, experiencing life, and like putting that into the material, and then hopefully, depending on how it goes in the next few years, maybe it turns into something. But
mhm,
like that's kind of like one of the things where I realize for a lot of people, if you know what you want to do early on, that's kind of a blessing
mhm.
because then you can
Yeah.
go in full hearted into that mode and try and fail for the first 5 6 years and for the first beginning, get rid of all those failure years and then move on,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
be able to like get into your late 20s, early 30s, and try to get into it with that
Mhm,
experience. But then at the same time, it's also not too late if you try.
Yeah.
Whenever you start getting into it, you have no idea. Like I think I remember like Gene Hackman as an actor as well. Like he kept
mhm,
doing things for years, but he didn't really become huge until like later on in his career, where he was able to enter an
mhm.
acting age or a character or like kind of a look that he was able to elevate and then turn into like one of the most well-known actors of his time.
Absolutely. Mhm.
So like you never know.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, you did mention it before. You wrote your first song when you said you were 14,
Yeah.
everything. Did
Probably.
you ever, like, perform that, in your later years, currently, like, right now?
Yeah. Actually, I guess it's not really my first song, but it's like the first song I really felt was something to perform, and it's
Nice.
Mm.
called "Gone Like Sleep." I actually probably have it on my YouTube channel, and
Oh, I'll look it up.
yeah, it's one of yeah, it's a very it's it's one of the first times where I feel like I was just so honest with how I felt, and yeah, I still perform it, and it still has a special meaning to me,
Mhm.
Mm.
and it's I feel like the older I get with it, though, the more I want to do with it. That's the other thing. All my old songs have eventually go through like a reimagining,
Mhm.
and with all the experience, with all the I guess changes in life, I breathe new life into them. But
Mhm.
that one song, "Gone Like Sleep," especially, it's just lyrically, I felt like lyrically I did pretty well with that song, and I just look back at it, I'm just like, cool.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, like if you keep churning them out and then keep putting them out there, you like also I think music is even more of like who knows what is gonna hit, what isn't gonna hit. Like
Yeah,
Lizzo's song that really blew up, that like she did that a couple of years ago. Like some of her other songs were blowing up. It wasn't this year or last year
yeah,
that she did it. It was years before. And like
yeah.
just gotta put it out in the ether and see what happens
Oh yeah.
sometimes.
Hmm.
And I think one thing I like to remind any artists is that you're doing this for yourself, you know? Like
Mm.
just
Yeah.
just love your art and just do your art. Like, you know, the more you do it, the more you learn from it. And that's something I had to like learn too. I was so self-conscious, trying to always write for the sake of sometimes for the sake of writing, sometimes to try and please others.
Hmm.
But
Mm.
I realized the happiest and my best songs are where I'm just honest with myself and you just trust your own process and just do it. Yeah, just put it out there. So I
Awesome.
agree.
Nice.
Keep, just do your work. Put it out there.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of learning, when did you first pick up the guitar?
Uh, when I came to Canada, actually, I think I was 15. Yeah, I was 15 when I came to Canada.
Oh,
My
wow.
my dad gave me, I guess, a gift. He was just like, "Hey, we're in Canada now. Is there anything you really want?" I'm like,
Not even a hockey stick? You wanted a guitar.
"No, I've never been a sporty person. I have two left
Oh.
feet, man." But when it came to that guitar, I was just like, "Dad, is it okay if I got a guitar? I really like music, and my dad's cool. Like I said, my parents are really cool, man." And so Dad was just like, "Yeah, sure." And then we went to back then it was Walter's Music Store back in Square One in Mississauga. So I went there, I got my guitar, and that was it. And I went on YouTube actually and just learned how to
Mm.
play
Oh, no way.
videos and yeah, just a lot of self-taught experimenting, listening to other, I guess, acoustic music I like rock. Like I like to do a lot of just bars and chords and strumming because
Mm.
it is like I said from that era of music is where I'm from, the punk emo punk era.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Dude, I still sometimes play the Black Parade, and I'm like, they don't make music like this anymore, man.
100% agree, man.
Eh,
I,
yeah,
it I just like especially so Gerard Way, My Chemical Romance,
yeah.
just every like if it weren't for him, I feel like I wouldn't know how to write music, you know?
Wow.
Like just because I just love how listening to his music, I've always just felt him, you know, like you were literally like part of his soul at that point. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's what inspired me to just write whatever I need to write. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, I feel you, man. Like guys like Jimmy Eat World were always like that
Oh
with me
yeah,
too.
yeah.
But just yeah, there was something about that like the vulnerability that you feel back in high school, um, the raw emotions that, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
also have the music of like My Chemical Romance that like just
Elevate
you feel those feelings even more exponentially just
that.
because your hormones are going crazy anyways.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, like what other music are you listening to right now that inspires you?
Dua Lipa, Future Nostalgia is an amazing album, man. Like, so I've also been a big fan of like the Bee Gees and stuff, like funk and disco and stuff too.
Nice.
Mm.
Oh, I love it. And to hear Future Nostalgia just come into play like this, where she's mixing like fun EDM elements with like
Yeah.
funk and disco, I was like, beautiful. This is so beautiful. The lyrics, nothing. She doesn't. Her team, like her, like as an artist, she doesn't like also like I don't know, cheap out on anything. The lyrics are good. The music is good.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
the way it's presented is amazing. So that's like my biggest like thing right now. Just that like is so good. Like she's just so good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely need to start listening to her music more because I remember some of her big hits before, and then I saw her the other day on the YouTube series Hot Ones, and then
Oh
I
yeah.
was reminded it's like, oh yeah, she's also very attractive. Uh,
That's true.
so I should also to look into that as well. But I mentioned off the top a little bit as well that you're going to be like releasing some new stuff at the end of the year. Like, can you
Right.
tell us kind of like what this new stuff is?
So I'm working with the guy. That's another thing I learned. I can't do everything on my own sometimes as a
Mm.
musician. Like I said,
Mhm.
sometimes you get so protective of your art, you realize that it might be just better to have other people join you and work with you. So I have a producer that I'm working with. He understands me and I like what he does. I'm working on Meant to Be and Rain Rain, two of my, I guess, songs I really like. But
Hmm.
they're just songs I want to just put out there and to share. And we have plans to like slowly mold my image towards more of a, I guess, modern sound. I still want to
Mm,
incorporate my emo elements, but also bring in some of the funk and disco here where I can,
nice.
and see where it takes me. Really, there's a
Yeah.
lot of experimenting that I'm really excited about. But yeah,
Hmm.
it'll be Rain Rain and Meant to Be whenever I can get that figured out. COVID really held us back because I couldn't see him, and I tried to send him tracks from here, but it's different. It's different when you're not working together with,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes you need that studio time and you need that
exactly,
in-person collaboration for sure.
exactly.
But
Hmm.
yeah, no, it sounds good. We're definitely looking forward to seeing
Thank you, man.
how that comes out with. I think we're pretty much up to the time for the podcast. So at the end of the podcast, what we always like to do is we play a little word association game, kind of like a palate cleanser. I always stick with my 10 words because I guess it's too hard to come up with 10 different words. Um, but then Lucas always is pretty good with coming up with brand new words. So we'll do it. How about I'll start off,
Okay.
and like with every word that I say, just say the first word that comes to your mind. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the first like a word. It can be like an expression or
Yeah.
an image in your head. But first thing that comes to your mind. So I'll get started right now. So clear your head of everything. And the first word is family.
Happiness.
Pineapple.
Not good on pizza.
Rain.
Go away.
That's been there for a while, but actually works pretty well with your song.
Yeah.
Rain, rain. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Next song. Or next word. Alone.
um wow. Just an image came into my head. Just alone, just sometimes you gotta be.
Hmm? Motivation.
um Honesty.
Kumquat.
Fruits.
Yes. I think it is a fruit. I should look it up. Um, mountain.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
Tightrope.
Oh, crossing it, like balancing.
Satisfied.
uh Poutine.
Nice. I fully support that word. And finally, ending.
It's a new beginning.
Nice. Cool. All right. Lucas.
All right. You ready for the next 10? All right. Let's do this. Let's do
All
this.
right, here we go.
All right. Here we are. Here we are. First word. Care.
Bear.
Nice. Buckley.
Oh man. Medicine.
Clapton.
I don't know.
King.
Queen
Time.
is of the essence.
Tea.
Tea. Like caffeine, man. So,
Nice. Name.
Geronimo for some reason.
Inspired.
Music.
Film.
Music.
Last word. Danny.
That's just me.
Nice. Nice.
Nice, nice. All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
Danny
Danny.
Lynn, for
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
joining on the Have We Made It Yet podcast. What are your handles and social media stuff and anything you want to promo?
So Danny Lwin, at Danny Lwin on Instagram, DANNYLWIN, and on YouTube, just Danny Lwin Music. Just put music at the end of my name, and a lot of random videos will pop up because, like I said, my parents are really cool. They're really supportive of me. So
Oh,
you'll probably
Oh,
see age like, oh man, videos from 10 years ago, and Yeah.
Nice.
Permanent record of my high school years on Facebook, thanks to my parents.
That's
So
great.
nice.
That's great. Lucas, what are your handles?
Yeah, you can find me at Lucas John Ing. NG is my last name, just 2 letters, on Instagram and on Facebook.
Great. And
And
for me, it's you can find me at Josh Yang on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube as well. I just put one clip on there. I should put some other stuff on there. And if you want to listen to more of my sweet voice, you could listen to the Sleep with Josh podcast. It's a sleep aid podcast if you want to listen to that. And yeah, it's across all podcast platforms. And also, please do not forget to follow and subscribe to this podcast, this YouTube channel. Have we made it yet? At HWMIY podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all that good stuff. Actually, you know what? I looked up on Twitter if it appears anywhere else, and apparently there is one person, HWMIY, and they're Korean, so it's like it's a Korean name to a certain degree. Maybe the spelling, obviously, it's a little different. But yeah, so it's the Humi podcast, and please like and subscribe on everything. All right, great. Thank you for joining us, Danny, and we'll see everybody next week.
Awesome. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.